In today's module spotlight, we're going to be looking at the audio file player. The audio file player is Music SDP's most robust tool for opening and working with various audio files. To begin, we need to always make sure that we load an audio file into the player to work with. So I'll click the Open Audio File button, and I'll select the file that I want to work with today. Now you'll see that once the file is loaded, the waveform selection tool comes out and selects the entirety of the waveform. However, we can click and drag to choose a different portion that we may want to work with. Once we've selected the portion that we like, we can begin playback by hitting the play button. Hitting the button again will stop the playback. Also notice that when hitting stop, the playback locator goes back to the beginning of the selection. The next time that we hit play, we'll start again from the beginning of that selection. If we want to pause instead of stop, we can use the pause resume button to pause where we are at a certain point, and then return to it when we're ready. To the right of the play button is the loop toggle, which, when turned on, will cause the file to loop back to the beginning of the playback selection when we reach the end of the selection. This will continue until we pause or stop the playback. To the right of the loop toggle is the speed toggle. This will cause the playback to speed up or slow down, in effect also changing the pitch of the file. Setting the speed to a negative number will cause the playback to go in reverse from the end of the selection to the beginning. Just like before, we can pause and resume the playback, or we can stop it. We can also have the loop toggle on or off. The direction of the playback is not affected by any of these other parameters. Below the loop toggle, we see the pitch time toggle. Right now, pitch and time are locked together, but this player provides an interesting feature. If we unlock the pitch and time, we see that an additional parameter opens up, the pitch shift parameter. In this mode, we can now change the speed of the playback without affecting the pitch. Conversely, we can change the pitch, which is an adjustment in steps, without affecting the speed. This can be a lot of fun to play with, but do keep in mind that unlocking the pitch and time does increase the CPU load on your computer, so you may want to be careful about when and how you decide to unlock the pitch and time parameters. If we decide that the selection area that we're working with is close to what we want but not quite right, we can manually change the start and the end of the selection with the start loop and end loop functions. Here I can simply type in the number that I want, or click and drag, and we'll see the selection update based on our updated parameters. You may have noticed that the end loop and start loop numbers that are displayed are not exactly the numbers that I put in. That's because the waveform is going to actually lock to the nearest zero crossing in the file, which will avoid any unwanted pops or clicks when we start playback. Finally, this last parameter allows us to view or change the buffer name. We can use the buffer board, or we can use the looper to change and swap out buffers on the fly. We'll be looking at this more in a future video. As we can see, the audio file player tool is very powerful, giving us a lot of control over our files that we've added into our projects.